We haven't even officially begun free agency yet, and the Detroit Lions might have had the perfect person drop into their lap to help on the defensive line. This happened. I had to step out, had to get my wife some orange juice. She's not feeling well, and this happened while I was out. And I said, watch Brad Holmes do this. The Steelers decided to release, coming from Ian Rappaport's Twitter, veteran linebacker Preston Smith, who they traded for at the trade deadline last season. Now, Preston Smith, that name might sound familiar. He used to play with the Green Bay Packers. As a matter of fact, he spent some time with our current defensive lineman, Zadarius Smith, and the Green Bay Packers decided to pay Preston Smith instead of Zadarius. Zadarius then goes to Minnesota and then is traded to the Cleveland Browns after that. So that would be ironic. But why would this work for Brad Holmes? I'm thinking, even though you have a linebacker, his classification on ESPN is a linebacker. That's what they have him as. But I specifically remember seeing Preston Smith play on the line. I remember him playing on the defensive line. He would play DE, DT, stand up as a linebacker. Seems like he's pretty versatile, but they have him. So that's what I was thinking about. Now, he's 32 years old. So him and Zadarius Smith are the same age. He will turn 33 during the season after the trade deadline. Let's take a look at his stats. Drafted in the second round of the 2015 draft, pick 38 overall, went to the Washington Commanders. If you look at what he did last year, he had 4.5 sacks. It's funny because I don't remember him at all in Washington, but he did his rookie deal in Washington. Then he signed a deal with the Green Bay Packers, and we'll look at Spot Track and see what that deal was. But I remember right around this time, they decided to give him a deal instead of Zadarius. They prioritized. I remember that like it was yesterday. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers traded for him at the trade deadline in, I believe, 2023, I thought. But Ian said that, yeah, they traded for him at the 2024 trade deadline. So we traded for Zadarius Smith, and they traded for Preston Smith. Now, let's look at what he was getting paid. So he's owed no money. He does not have to go through any waiver. That stuff will begin when the season starts. When the season starts, the first 3 weeks of the new NFL season, they will go by the priority waiver wire, and then it will reset. But this is officially free agency for the NFL. He was going to get a boatload of money if he would have been on the team this year. He would have had a base salary of $12 million and a workout bonus of $500,000. So he's probably not going to make anywhere close to this. Anywhere close to them. I would be surprised if he's making as much as Zadarius Smith. But let's go back and look at his stats. I was wondering, why did he only play 8 games according to ESPN? So he had 8 games. He had now it says, okay, right. He had 4.5 sacks total. That's right. So he played all 17 because he played 9 in Green Bay and then the 8. So he did play all 17 games. It took me a while to catch that this was the same season. So he's not hurt, but he's old enough for Brad Holmes to want to invest in this guy. And I've seen this guy play all across the line. I've seen him play in the middle. I've seen him play outside. And I've seen him play linebacker, stand up as well. Now, why would this be intriguing for the Detroit Lions? Well, we all know Brad loves a bargain. We need to start calling him Bargain Brad because that is what he loves. This guy was cut. I wonder if there's any bad blood between him and Zadarius. I probably think that's water under the bridge. If there were, Zadarius seems like too nice of a guy to be holding on to stuff that, like that. But he's a deal. He's a bargain. And what we could do if we decided to put him on the defensive line, because I swear, man, when he was playing Detroit, I saw this guy line up in the middle a lot, in the middle a ton, and you would put Zadarius on the outside and Preston Smith, because I used to call them the Smith brothers, and you would see him play more on the inside. But while Aleem McNeil is recovering, then we could have Preston Smith come in. That's why I think that he is going to play. I think Brad just lit up. His phone probably is blowing up with text messages. He's probably texting Preston to come to Detroit. This right here just got Brad Holmes written all over it. The only thing he lacks is injury in last season. But if we look at his injury history in total, he's pretty much a healthy dude. As a matter of fact, according to, wait a minute, there's no way. According to ESPN.com, Preston Smith has not missed a game in his NFL career. Wow. He has not missed a game in his NFL career. Unless we were at a 17-game season in 2021. This might be the only, I think we went to the 7-game format in 2020, 7-team in the playoffs. And this might be, if this was a 17-game season, this is the only he's missed one game in his entire career out of 163 played. That's, wow, that doesn't fit Brad at all. Now, does it? So injury history, throw that out the window. But bargain. This got bargain Brad written all over it. This guy is, Aleem McNeil is hurt. We can use all the help on the D-line that we could get. So I see Brad Holmes truly doing this. I'm sure his eyes absolutely lit up. But it's something I wanted to show you. According to NFLPro.com, here are Preston Smith's stats for 2024. You can see from his time in the NFL, he took the majority of his snaps. You probably can't see it. This says LB as linebacker. But you can see here, he played defensive line in his one season in Pittsburgh. And doing so, he played all 17 games. He started 9. He played 446 snaps, which was 42%. He played 179 in run D, and against the pass, he played, so he was like half and half. And he got 4.5 quarterback sacks with 22 quarterback pressures. And he got a quarterback pressure rate of 9.1. His overall rating was 94.2. So now I'm thinking this might be a little too rich for Brad Holmes. It might be. I mean, Preston Smith, he's been in the game for a while. He's definitely not a scrub. He's not the needle mover he once was, and I hate saying that. I think I listened to a YouTuber today, and they stressed what a person wasn't. I told myself I don't really like doing that because we know what they were, but what are they now? He's a body, and he's a body that can help whether you put him, maybe you put him in the middle. How much does he weigh currently? I wonder, can I pull that up? 6'5", 271. So, I mean, you could really put him anywhere. And I remember he used to give Detroit a tough time. He used to give the Detroit Lions a tough time. How many sacks has he had in his career? Let's take a look, because that's his total. Let me see. His season high was 12 back in 2019. This isn't bad. I mean, coming off a 4.5, 8, 8.5, 9. So in the past, these were his weakest 2 seasons. And this is probably why Green Bay decided to move on, because he wasn't giving, I think I remember this. They weren't satisfied with his production. And then he did this, but he's playing with TJ Watt, Cam Hayward. I mean, he started 9 games, right? So Preston Smith could be somebody that the Detroit Lions really do look into. I see us getting him as a steal of a deal, like real talk. And this is Brad Holmes probably ran him some bubble bath or something. He was so happy, probably got in there and was, oh my God, another bargain deal opened up. But I tell you what, while Preston is one of many moves that need to be made, I wouldn't be mad if we did this. I would not be mad if the Detroit Lions were to invest on a 1-year deal, no draft picks required, no draft capital required. He's been released by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, what I believe is with him being released, that means he's a free agent, which I'm not too sure if he can sign with another team because he came from another team. So because of where we are, is it where they can cut him like they cut him? Is he available, or do we have to wait until free agency? That's the question that I have. They probably wanted to cut him. Maybe something was due. Maybe he was due something. So that I'm not clear on if that is the case or not. I would assume that he is under the same category as like we have to wait till the beginning of the season, because I think the only people that you can sign are people that were part of your team. You can't sign some, even though, like, for instance, the Detroit Lions have free agents. They have guys that will be free agents come the new league year. But now that Preston has been cut, is he available now, or do they have to wait until the start of the new league year, which is essentially the tampering period? So, but if there's, I would assume with him being a free agent, we could do something like was done with Stafford and Jarrett, where the trade was done on paper, but it wasn't officially official until the start of the new league year. Jarrett couldn't come to Detroit, and Matthew couldn't go to LA. They couldn't even do anything publicly. They had to wait until the start of the new league year. So I could really see Brad Holmes doing this. I wouldn't be mad if he did, because I think Preston right now is probably better than anybody we have on our team that's not named Aleem, Zadarius, DJ, or Aiden. And if we could get him for a steal of a deal, I would not be mad at this at all, because we still would have some work to do. We still got to I'm still saying, go get Myles Garrett, trade for Max Crosby, trade for any number of players, still bring in Khalil Mack, still trade a DE in rounds 1 and 2. But you could get, if you wanted to go DE or DT, if you didn't feel that Broderick was ready, you could maybe go DT in rounds, 2. I'm going DE in 1, period. There's no way. The only way I take a DT in the first round is if he's a carbon copy of Aaron Donald, Chris Jones. Like, you got to give me 10 sacks rookie season. You got to give me that type of production for me to draft, because we desperately need a DE, but we also need D lineman, period. So let me know your thoughts, man. When I saw this, the first thing I thought of was the fact that him and Zadarius played together and how intriguing it could be if they reunite. And the second thing I thought of was, well, there you go. Somebody cut, somebody new, somebody right up Brad Holmes' alley. Age, the only thing is he doesn't meet the injury credentials. But age, free agent, like that stuff, that's what we want. And I would take Preston Smith over Marcus Davenport any day, all day. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. Let me know what you think about the Smith brothers reuniting.